My beloved child, I see the fear rising in your heart again. You feel it quietly like a shadow stretching across your thoughts. Something reminds you of what you went through before, and deep inside you whisper, "Not again. Please, not again." You remember the sleepless nights. You remember the tightness in your chest. You remember how long it took to breathe freely after that storm finally passed. And now, even the smallest sign of trouble makes your spirit brace itself for another battle. But listen to me closely. Lean in and hear my voice above every anxious thought. I did not bring you this far to watch you relive what nearly broke you. I am your father, and I do not stand at a distance when fear knocks at your door. I stand between you and it. You are wondering if this is the beginning of the same cycle. You are scanning the horizon, searching for signs of the old storm forming again. You tell yourself to prepare, to protect your heart, to expect the worst so you will not be caught off guard. But my beloved child, what if this time the story changes? What if the path that once led to pain now leads somewhere entirely different? I know how deeply that last season wounded you. I saw the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. I felt the silent prayers you whispered when you thought no one was listening. I watched you hold yourself together when everything inside you felt like it was falling apart. You survived what you thought you could not survive. But survival was not the final plan I had for you. Right now, you stand at a moment of decision. Will you let fear write the next chapter, or will you trust my voice as I speak something new? I am telling you this with certainty and tenderness. I will not let you go through that again. This is not empty comfort. This is not wishful thinking. This is my promise as your loving father. The enemy of your peace does not get unlimited access to your life. Pain does not get to repeat itself without my permission. And I am saying no. You may still see reminders. You may still feel echoes. But echoes are not the storm itself. The past may try to knock, but I am the one who answers the door. And when I answer, I decide what enters and what does not. So breathe, my child. The tension you feel right now is not a warning of destruction. It is the moment before you realize that I am intervening. I am already working behind the scenes. I am already shifting things you cannot yet see. You are not walking back into the same fire. You are not stepping into the same heartbreak. You are not about to relive the same loss. I am placing my hand over your life and declaring protection over this chapter. Stay with me. Listen carefully in the parts ahead, because I am going to show you why this time will be different. My beloved child, I saw what it cost you last time. You may think that season is behind you, buried in memory, but I remember every detail. I remember the way your voice trembled when you tried to sound strong. I remember the nights when sleep would not come, when your mind replayed every word, every mistake, every fear. I remember how you kept going even when your heart felt too heavy for your chest. Nothing about your suffering was invisible to me. When you felt abandoned, I was there. When you wondered why it had to hurt that deeply, I was holding you closer than you realized. When you cried in silence, because you did not want to burden anyone else, I collected every tear. You were never dramatic. You were never weak. You were wounded. And wounds mattered to me. You caring more than people knew. You smiled when others expected you to. You showed up when you wanted to hide. You answered messages when you barely had the strength to answer your own thoughts. You told yourself, just get through today. And then you did it again the next day. That kind of endurance does not go unnoticed in my eyes. I saw the toll it took on your confidence. I saw how it made you question your worth. I saw how you began to doubt your own judgment, wondering if you had somehow caused what happened. My beloved child, release that burden now. You were learning. You were growing. You were navigating something that would have shaken anyone. There were moments you almost gave up. Moments when the weight felt unbearable. You wondered if you would ever feel light again, ever laugh freely again, ever trust without fear again. And yet, here you are. Still standing. Still breathing. Still hoping, even if hope feels fragile. Do you understand what that means? It means that the storm did not define you. It shaped you, yes. It stretched you. It revealed places in you that needed healing. But it did not destroy you. And I did not allow it to. You think you survived by your own strength. But I was strengthening you from within. When you felt like you were barely holding on, it was my hand beneath yours. When you thought you had reached your limit, I extended your capacity. When your heart cracked, I was already preparing the healing balm. I am not a distant observer of your pain. I am a father who feels it with you. Every sigh, every anxious breath, every whispered prayer reached me. I never once turned away. And now, as you fear the possibility of facing something similar again, I want you to remember this. I would not allow you to pay that price twice. Pain is not a debt you must keep repaying. Growth is not meant to come through endless repetition of the same wound. You learn what you needed to learn. You endure what you needed to endure. That chapter had purpose, but it also had an end. I know there is a part of you that still feels fragile. A part that says, if it happens again, I don't know if I could handle it. That vulnerability is honest, and I honor your honesty. But listen to me now with full attention. You will not have to handle that alone, and you will not have to handle that again. The cost was high. I saw it. The nights, the tears, the silent battles, the rebuilding of your confidence brick by brick. I saw the courage it took to trust again, to hope again, to step forward again. I will not let that rebuilding be torn down by the same storm. You are not walking back into the same lesson. You are not being sent in circles. I am leading you forward, not backward. So when fear whispers that history is about to repeat itself, answer it with my truth. I saw what it cost you. I measured the weight of it. And as your loving father, I am not careless with your heart. You are precious to me. Too precious to relive what nearly broke you. My beloved child, I know the fear that lives beneath your surface. It is not always loud. Sometimes it hides quietly in your thoughts, waiting for a familiar sign. The fear is not only about pain itself. It is about cycles. It is about patterns. It is about the haunting question, why does this keep happening to me? You look back and you see similarities. Different faces but the same disappointment. Different situations but the same heartbreak. Different battles but the same exhaustion. And slowly, without even realizing it, you began to expect repetition. You began to brace yourself for what feels inevitable. But hear me clearly now. What feels like a pattern to you is not a prison sentence written by me. The mind tries to protect itself by predicting pain. It studies the past and assumes the future will follow the same script. That is how fear attempts to keep you safe. It says, prepare for the worst. Do not get too hopeful. Do not trust too deeply. Do not believe too boldly. It convinces you that expecting less will hurt less. Yet that is not how I designed you to live. You were not created to walk in circles of sorrow. You were not formed to repeat lessons that have already shaped you. Growth does not require endless reenactments of the same wound. A loving father does not teach by reopening scars again and again. I know some of your fears reach deeper than your own experiences. You have seen patterns in your family. You have watched cycles of struggle pass from one generation to another. You have wondered if certain burdens are simply attached to your name. Financial stress, broken relationships, anxiety, rejection. You quietly ask, is this just my portion? My beloved child, lift your eyes higher. Cycles may exist in the natural world, but I am the one who stands above them. I created the rhythm of seasons, yet I am not bound by them. What repeats in human history does not override my authority in your life. I can interrupt what seems unbreakable. I can rewrite what seems inherited. I can stop what seems automatic. You are not doomed to relive what you have seen. Imagine a traveler walking the same road again and again because he believes it is the only path available. Each time he reaches the same rough terrain, the same steep hill, the same dead end, he grows tired and assumes this is all there is. But what he does not see is that a new road has already been carved beside him. A smoother path, a brighter direction. He simply has not lifted his eyes to notice it. A traveler is how you have sometimes felt. You assume that because you recognize the scenery, you are headed toward the same destination. But recognition does not equal repetition. Awareness does not mean inevitability. This time, you are not the same person stepping onto the path. You carry wisdom you did not have before. You carry discernment. You carry strength shaped by endurance. And most importantly, you carry my promise. I am not allowing you to walk blindly into a repeated storm. I am not standing back to see if you survive it again. I am actively breaking the rhythm that once held you captive. When old fears rise, it does not mean the old outcome is returning. It often means healing is happening. The mind is revisiting what once hurt so it can finally release it. Do not confuse memory with prophecy. Just because you remember pain does not mean you are destined to relive it. You are stepping into a new chapter, not a recycled one. Yes, life will still have challenges. Growth still requires stretching. But the specific wound you fear, the exact scenario that once strained you, the cycle that made you question your future, I am cutting it off at its root. I am not a God of endless repetition. I am a God of renewal. So when the thought whispers, "Here we go again," I want you to pause and listen for my voice instead. I am saying, "No, my child. This is not the same road. This is the place where the pattern ends. Trust me in this. I am not leading you in circles. I am leading you forward. My beloved child, this time will be different. I want you to let those words settle gently into your heart. Not rushed, not forced. Just receive. This time will be different, not because circumstances look perfect, and not because you have suddenly become fearless, but because I am shifting the atmosphere around you in ways you cannot yet see. You are standing at a place that feels familiar. The emotions feel similar. The questions echo memories of the past. But what you do not realize is that you are not standing in the same spiritual environment. You have grown. You have changed. And I have been preparing this moment long before you sensed it coming. Last time, you walked into the storm unaware. You trusted without discernment. You stepped forward without certain boundaries. You carried hope, but you did not yet carry the wisdom that only experience could give. That was not failure. That was formation. Now you are not the same. Pain has taught you to pause. Disappointment has taught you to observe. Heartbreak has taught you to listen more closely to the quiet nudges within you. Where you were once uncertain, you now carry quiet awareness. Where you were once quick to ignore red flags, you now sense them early. That alone changes everything. But even beyond your growth, I am doing something deeper. There are moments in life when I allow storms to teach, and there are moments when I command storms to pass by. Discern the difference, my child. The last season shaped you. This season will establish you. The last battle revealed your strength. This one will reveal my protection. I am not repeating the lesson because you have already graduated from it. Imagine a teacher who tests a student on the same subject year after year, even after mastery has been proven. That is not wisdom. That is stagnation. I am not a careless teacher. When you have learned what was necessary, I move you forward. I expand your territory. I entrust you with peace instead of chaos. You may still feel tremors of fear. That is natural. The body remembers what the heart endured. But fear does not dictate your future. I do. You are expecting the same door to close. You are bracing for the same conversation to break you. You are preparing for the same rejection, the same collapse, the same exhaustion. Yet what you cannot see is that I have already adjusted the outcome. Conversations will unfold differently. Decisions will align differently. People will respond differently. Even if challenges appear, they will not carry the same destructive power, because I am standing in the middle of it. This time, when pressure rises, you will not crumble. This time, when uncertainty knocks, you will not spiral. This time, when the memory of the past whispers, you will recognize it as memory, not destiny. I am also aligning circumstances beyond your awareness. Hearts are being softened. Paths are being redirected. Delays are being orchestrated for your protection. What once caught you off guard will now be filtered through my hand before it ever reaches you. Do not confuse similarity with sameness. Two storms may look alike in the distance, but one may dissolve before it arrives. Two situations may appear familiar, but one may carry blessing instead of pain. Trust that I am not careless with your journey. You have asked me sometimes through tears, why again? And I am answering you now. It will not be again. This time, you will walk through with clarity. This time, you will walk through with boundaries. This time, you will walk through with my covering in a way you have never experienced before. And in moments where you expect collapse, you will instead find calm. I am not leading you back into what broke you. I am leading you into proof that you are no longer who you were. So breathe, my beloved child. Release the tension in your shoulders. Let go of the expectation of disaster. I am writing a different outcome. This time will be different because I have declared it so. My beloved child, you are not who you were before. I need you to truly understand this. When you look at yourself, you often see the same face in the mirror, the same habits, the same tendencies. You measure your growth by what is visible, but I measure it by what has shifted within you. And within you, so much has changed. The last time you walked through that painful season, you were carrying innocence that had not yet been tested. You believed certain words without hesitation. You trusted certain situations without question. You moved forward with a heart wide open, unaware of how fragile it could feel when bruised. There was beauty in that openness, but there was also vulnerability that had not yet matured into discernment. And now you carry wisdom. It may not always feel like strength, but it is. Wisdom often feels quieter than bold confidence. It does not rush. It does not assume. It pauses. It listens. It weighs. That pause inside you, that instinct to slow down before leaping, is evidence of growth. Pain refined you. Think of gold placed in fire. The fire is not meant to destroy the gold. It reveals what is pure and removes what is weak. When you were in that season of intense heat, you thought you were being consumed. But what was truly happening was refinement. Impurities rose to the surface. False beliefs about yourself began to burn away. Dependence on unstable foundations started to crumble. You came out different. You no longer define yourself by the opinions that once shook you. You no longer crumble as quickly under criticism. You no longer give your heart so freely to what has not proven safe. These are not signs of becoming cold. They are signs of becoming anchored. And anchoring changes outcomes. The storm that once knocked you down will meet a steadier version of you now. The words that once pierced deeply will meet a heart that knows its worth. The uncertainty that once sent you spiraling will meet a mind that has learned to pause and breathe. You sometimes doubt this growth because you still feel fear. But growth does not mean the absence of emotion. It means you respond differently to it. Before, fear may have controlled your choices. And now, even when fear rises, you question it. You bring it before me. You seek clarity instead of reacting blindly. That is maturity, my beloved child. You have also learned the value of boundaries. Before, you may have ignored the quiet discomfort inside you, telling yourself you were overthinking. Now you recognize that discomfort has guidance. Before, you may have tolerated what drained you. Now you recognize when something is not aligned with your peace. You are stronger than you realize. And because you are not who you were before, the same situation cannot produce the same result. Even if life presents a familiar challenge, it will encounter a different version of you. A version shaped by endurance. A version grounded in truth. A version that knows I am near. There was a time when you felt powerless. You thought circumstances controlled your destiny. But through that last trial, you discovered resilience. You discovered that even when everything around you felt unstable, something inside you refused to collapse completely. That something was my strength woven into your spirit. You are not stepping forward as the fragile soul who barely survived. You are stepping forward as someone who has been refined. The fire did not destroy you. It strengthened you. The heartbreak did not end you. It deepened you. The uncertainty did not erase you. It expanded you. So when fear tries to whisper that you will fall apart again, answer it with truth. You are not the same. You are wiser. You are steadier. You are more discerning. You are more aware of my voice. And I, your Father, do not ignore the growth I have cultivated within you. I honor it by not allowing you to relive what was only meant to shape you once. Walk forward knowing this. The past version of you faced that storm. This version of you carries strength that storm has never encountered. You are not who you were before. And that changes everything. My beloved child, I'm closing the door behind you. You keep glancing over your shoulder, wondering if that old chapter might somehow reopen. You wonder if the same pain could find its way back through a crack you did not notice. You question whether what once hurt you still has access to your life. But listen to me carefully now. I am not only leading you forward, I am securing what is behind you. There are doors in your life that were only meant to be temporary entrances. They allowed certain lessons to enter. They allowed certain experiences to shape you. But they were never meant to remain open forever. And now, in this season, I am closing them completely. When I close a door, it is not punishment. It is protection. You may remember how difficult it was to walk away from what hurt you. Even when something was draining you, a part of you still hoped it would change. You kept knocking on doors that had already shown you they were unstable. You tried to fix what was never yours to carry. You lingered in spaces that were never meant to be permanent homes. But now I am stepping in as your father and saying, enough. I am closing access points that once allowed pain to enter freely. I am sealing cracks where fear used to slip through. I am removing permissions that once gave chaos a voice in your life. What hurt you will not have unlimited entry anymore. Imagine a house with a broken gate. Anyone could walk in without resistance. That is how your heart once felt. You were open, trusting, and generous, but you lacked the structure that guarded your peace. The last storm revealed the weakness in that gate. It showed you where reinforcement was needed. Now I am reinforcing it. I am not only teaching you boundaries. I am establishing them. I am placing strength at the entrances of your life. I am giving you discernment before commitment, clarity before attachment, and peace before agreement. And where something once forced its way in, it will now meet resistance. You fear that what once found you will find you again. But what you do not see is that the path it once used hath been shut down. The emotional patterns that allowed it have been healed. The insecurities that once attracted it are being replaced with confidence. The desperation that once tolerated it has been transformed into discernment. Doors are closing. Some of those doors may close quietly. You may not even notice the shift immediately. A conversation that would have escalated before will now fade peacefully. A connection that once would have entangled you will now dissolve gently. An opportunity that once would have led to exhaustion will now pass you by without disruption. That is my hand at work. And there are other doors I am closing firmly. You may feel a sudden clarity, a strong conviction that something is no longer for you. That is not confusion. That is my protection. When I shut a door, I do so with intention. I do not slam it in anger. I seal it in love. You may worry that closing doors means losing opportunities. But my beloved child, anything that is truly meant for you does not disappear when a door closes. What is aligned with your destiny will find its way through the right entrance. What is not aligned will remain outside. I am not allowing you to wander back into spaces that drained you. I am not allowing you to re-enter situations that fractured your peace. Even if nostalgia tempts you, even if familiarity calls your name, I am holding the door shut. Trust me in this. You may not understand every closure immediately. You may feel moments of confusion when something ends abruptly. But later, you will see the protection in it. Later, you will recognize that what felt like loss was actually security. I am not only guiding your steps forward, I am guarding your steps backward. The door that once led to heartbreak is closed. The entrance that once allowed anxiety to dominate is sealed. The pathway that once repeated the same wound has been blocked by my authority. You do not need to stand watch over what is behind you. I am doing that. Walk forward without fear. What was never meant to stay cannot follow you into this next chapter. I have closed the door, and I am holding the key. My beloved child, the enemy cannot repeat that attack. You remember how sudden it felt before, how it seemed to come from nowhere. One moment you were steady, and the next you were fighting to breathe through the weight of it. It got you off guard. It struck where you felt most vulnerable. And because it surprised you, it felt even more powerful. But what you must understand now is this: surprise does not equal supremacy. The first time, you did not see it for me. You did not recognize the subtle warning signs. You did not yet have the discernment you now carry. And because of that, the attack felt overwhelming. But an attack that relies on surprise loses its strength when awareness is present. You are aware now. You are more sensitive to shifts in your spirit. You notice when something feels off. You sense when peace begins to slip. You pause when your heart feels unsettled. That awareness is not anxiety. It is growth. It is discernment sharpened by experience. And beyond your awareness, there is my authority. You may picture battles as something you must fight alone, standing on a field with limited strength. But many battles never reach you because I intercept them first. Many plans formed against your peace dissolve before they ever manifest in your life. You do not see those victories, but they are constant. There are conversations that could have harmed you that never happened. There are decisions that could have hurt you that were redirected. There are intentions that could have wounded you that were exposed and halted. I am not passive in your protection. I am active. The attack that once found an opening in your life will not find the same access again. Imagine a fortress that once had a hidden weakness in its wall. An intruder found it and slipped through. Damage was done. But afterward, the weakness was repaired, reinforced, strengthened. The same intruder may return, expecting the same vulnerability, only to find solid stone where there was once a crack. That is what has happened within you. Where insecurity once lingered, confidence is forming. Where silence once allowed mistreatment, courage is rising. Where confusion once clouded your judgment, clarity is settling in. The same strategy cannot succeed against a strengthened heart. You fear that history may repeat because you know how deeply it hurt before. But the one who seeks to disturb your peace cannot operate freely anymore. Boundaries have been placed. Lessons have been learned. And above all, my covering surrounds you. I do not promise that you will never face challenges, but I am telling you this clearly. The specific attack that nearly broke you will not return with the same power. Even if something similar approaches, it will not penetrate the way it once did. It will not devastate you the way it once did. It will not dismantle your stability the way it once did. Because you are guarded. You are guarded by wisdom. You are guarded by growth. You are guarded by my presence that stands before you and behind you. I am not allowing what once drained you to freely access your life again. There is also something else you must know. The attack that once struck you revealed something important, your resilience. It revealed that even under pressure, you did not completely collapse. You bent, but you did not break beyond repair. That resilience remains in you now, stronger than before. So even in the unlikely event that difficulty brushes against your life, it will not find the same fragile foundation. It will meet a fortified spirit. Do not live in expectation of assault. Do not wake each day bracing for impact. That posture keeps you in survival mode. I am calling you into stability, not constant defense. The enemy cannot repeat that attack because the terrain has changed. The access points have shifted. The weaknesses have been strengthened. And I, your Father, stand as your shield. Rest in that truth. You are not exposed. You are not unprotected. You are not standing in the same vulnerable place you once stood. The attack that once shook you does not have permission to shake you again. My beloved child, you survived it once, but I will not let it touch you again. There was a time when survival was your only goal. You were not thinking about thriving. You were not thinking about joy. You were simply trying to make it through the day without falling apart. You measured success by endurance. If you could get through the conversation without breaking down, that was victory. If you could fall asleep without tears, that was progress. If you could wake up and keep functioning, that was enough. And I was with you in that survival season. I did not despise your weakness. I did not judge your exhaustion. when you could only whisper short prayers instead of long ones. I understood. When you felt numb instead of hopeful, I stayed close. Survival was necessary for that time. It kept you moving when standing still would have consumed you. But hear me clearly now. Survival was never meant to be your permanent state. You were not created merely to endure pain. You were not designed to constantly brace yourself against the next blow. I did not form you to live in quiet fear of repetition. That chapter required endurance. This chapter will carry restoration. There is a difference between being rescued from a storm and being shielded from it altogether. Before, you walked through the storm and came out alive. Now I am positioning you so that certain storms will pass without touching you. You may struggle to believe that. A part of you thinks, if I survive once, maybe I will just survive again. But I am not preparing you for another round of damage control. I am preparing you for stability. Think of a child who once burned their hand on a hot surface. The parent does not simply say, "You survived, so try again." No, the loving parent blocks access, moves the danger out of reach, teaches awareness, and protects the child from repeating the same pain. That is how I am with you. You earn what you needed to learn from that burn. You do not need to touch the flame again to prove your strength. You prove your strength already. You proved it in the quiet mornings when getting out of bed felt heavy. You proved it when you resisted the urge to give up on yourself. You proved it when you rebuilt trust slowly instead of closing your heart completely. Survival revealed your resilience. But resilience was not meant to trap you in a cycle of repeated injury. Now I am shifting you from endurance into protection. This does not mean you will never face difficulty, but it does mean that the specific wound you fear will not reopen in the same way. The scenario that once drained you will not be allowed to drain you again. The heartbreak that once fractured your confidence will not return to dismantle it. I am not careless with what you have rebuilt. You worked hard to regain your peace. You fought quietly to restore your confidence. You trusted me even when your understanding was limited. I honor that effort. I honor that growth. I will not allow it to be easily undone. Sometimes you mistake my silence for distance, but many times my silence is preparation. While you were healing, I was also arranging. While you were processing, I was also protecting. While you were recovering, I was also reinforcing the boundaries around your future. You survived once, but you are not destined to repeat survival mode. I am moving you into a season where you do not constantly look over your shoulder. A season where you can breathe deeply without waiting for the next impact. A season where peace is not fragile but established. The past may try to echo. Memories may attempt to stir anxiety. But echoes are not events. Memories are not prophecies. What happened before does not have automatic permission to happen again. I am your father, and I am attentive to your heart. I know exactly what nearly broke you. I know exactly what kept you awake. I know exactly what you fear repeating. And I am telling you with certainty and love, I will not let it touch you again. You are moving beyond survival. You are stepping into protection. My beloved child, I am healing the root, not just the symptoms. You have tried before to manage the surface of your pain. You told yourself to think positively. You distracted yourself when memories rose. You kept busy so you would not have to sit with what hurt. And for a while, that helped you cope. It allowed you to function. It allowed you to keep moving forward. But coping is not the same as healing. When a tree begins to wither, trimming the leaves does not restore its strength. You can cut away what looks damaged on the outside, But if the root remains diseased, the weakness will return. In the same way, if fear is only silenced at the surface, it waits quietly beneath, ready to rise again when conditions feel familiar. I am not interested in temporary relief for you. I am committed to deep restoration. The reason I will not let you go through that again is because I am addressing what once made you vulnerable to it. I am going beneath the visible reactions and touching the hidden beliefs that were formed in that season. Some of those beliefs were subtle. You began to believe that you were not enough. You began to believe that love always comes with instability. You began to believe that peace is fragile and easily taken away. You began to assume that disappointment is inevitable. Those beliefs were not born from truth. They were born from pain. And now I am uprooting them. Uprooting is not always comfortable. When I bring certain memories back to your awareness, it is not to torment you. It is to free you. When you feel emotions resurface, it is not regression. It is release. I am drawing the poison out so it does not remain hidden within you. You may feel moments where old feelings rise unexpectedly. A wave of sadness, a flicker of anxiety, a sudden tightness in your chest. Do not panic when this happens. It does not mean you are falling backward. It means I am healing deeper than before. Imagine a gardener pulling weeds from the soil. If the weeds are only cut at the surface, they grow back stronger. But when the gardener grips them at the base and pulls firmly, the roots are exposed. The soil may shift. It may look messy for a moment. But once the root is removed, the growth stops. That is what I am doing in your heart. I am exposing the root of fear so it no longer controls your responses. I am removing the root of insecurity so it no longer attracts what harms you. I am healing the root of abandonment so it no longer whispers lies about your worth. When the root changes, the fruit changes. You will begin to notice that situations that once triggered panic now produce calm. Conversations that once would have shaken you now feel manageable. Opportunities that once would have felt threatening now feel neutral or even hopeful. That is not coincidence. That is healing at the foundation. I do not want you merely surviving triggers. I want you free from them. I do not want you constantly managing anxiety. I want you walking in stability. And stability comes when the root is healthy. Trust the process of deep healing. If I were only concerned with appearances, I would simply soothe you temporarily and move on. But I love you too much to leave hidden wounds untouched. I am restoring you from the inside out. And once the root is healed, the same storm cannot produce the same destruction. Even if strong winds blow, the tree with healthy roots stands firm. Even if rain falls heavily, the foundation does not collapse. You fear repetition because you remember the damage. But the structure within you is being reinforced at its base. The same pressure will not create the same cracks. Let me continue this work within you. Do not rush it. Do not judge yourself for the moments when emotion surfaces. Healing is not weakness. It is preparation for lasting peace. I am not patching you up temporarily. I am transforming you permanently. And when the root is healed, what once hurt you will no longer have power over you. My beloved child, the storm you expect will pass you by. I know you feel it building. Even when the sky looks calm, your heart sometimes prepares for thunder. You have learned to read small changes in the atmosphere. A shift in tone. A delay in response. An unexpected silence. And immediately, your mind begins to prepare for impact. But this time, I am standing between you and the storm. There are storms that I allow to strengthen you. And there are storms that I redirect because you have already gained the strength they would have produced. You do not need to be tested again in the same way. You do not need to prove endurance you have already demonstrated. Right now, as you brace yourself, I am reshaping what you cannot see. Picture dark clouds moving toward your life, heavy with rain. You assume they are coming directly for you. You assume the downpour is inevitable. But above those clouds, my hand moves the wind. I shift the current. I redirect what was once headed your way. The storm does not disappear. It simply passes over. You may hear distant thunder, but it will not break over your home. You may see rain in the distance, but it will not flood your ground. What once would have overwhelmed you will now move beyond you. You are learning to trust my covering. Before, when trouble came, it felt personal. It felt targeted. It felt as though peace avoided you while chaos found you easily. But that perception was shaped by a season that has ended. Now my protection is more evident. My guidance is clearer. My presence is steadier in your awareness. You are not exposed. Even when situations appear uncertain, I am filtering them. Even when people make decisions, I am influencing outcomes. Even when you feel vulnerable, I am shielding what matters most. You may not always understand why something did not escalate the way you expected. You may wonder why a potential conflict dissolved quickly. You may be surprised when what once would have triggered anxiety now feels manageable. That is not luck. That is my intervention. I am guarding your mind from spiraling. I am guarding your heart from unnecessary pain. I am guarding your future from repeating damage. This is not a fragile peace. This is a guarded peace. So release the tension in your body. Release the anticipation of disaster. The storm you are expecting will not land the way it did before. It will not uproot you. It will not shake your foundation. It will not undo your healing. You are not standing alone under open sky. You are standing under my covering. Trust this shift. Trust this protection. Trust that I am attentive to every detail of your life. You will not go through that again. The storm will pass you by. And as you stand under my covering, hear this invitation flowing from my heart to yours. When you allow my word to strengthen you, when you let this message settle deeply within you, you become part of something greater than yourself. There are other hearts trembling under their own clouds, waiting for light. When you choose to sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link placed in the description, and even in the QR code before you, you are not supporting a channel. You are helping me send shelter to another soul. I have said in my living word that when you sow generously, you reap generously, and I speak that promise over you now. As you release your seed, I release provision. As you open your hand, I open heaven over your house. If your heart has been stirred, and you feel that quiet nudge within you, that is me inviting you to act. Do not delay obedience when I am calling you to be part of someone else's breakthrough. Your giving becomes oil that keeps this lamp burning. Your generosity becomes rain on dry ground, and I will bless the work of your hands in return. Step into this moment. Sow the seed. Strengthen the harvest. My beloved child, you have learned what you needed to learn. There was a time when you thought the lesson would never end. It felt as if the same theme kept repeating in different forms. You asked me quietly, have I not understood yet? Why does this keep happening? But growth is not always immediate. Some lessons settle slowly like seeds beneath soil. They take time before they break through the surface. Now look at you. You respond differently. You think differently. You pause where you once wait. You question where you once assumed. You pray where you once panicked. That is evidence that the lesson has taken root. You no longer chase what drains you. You no longer ignore the warning signs within your spirit. You no longer confuse chaos with passion or instability with excitement. The very things that once seemed normal to you now feel unsettling. That discomfort is wisdom. I am not keeping you in a classroom forever. When a student has mastered the material, the teacher does not continue testing the same subject endlessly. There comes a moment of advancement, a moment of graduation, a moment when the student moves forward into something new. This is that moment for you. The trial that once shaped you has completed its work. The hardship that once refined you has done its part. You are not being prepared for the same test again. You are being entrusted with greater stability. You sometimes underestimate how much you have changed because the transformation happened quietly. It did not come with loud announcements. It came through reflection, through tears, through honest conversations with yourself, through nights when you chose faith over despair even if your voice trembled. You learned resilience. You learned discernment. You learned the value of peace. You learned that your worth is not dependent on someone else's behavior. You learned that walking away from what harms you is not weakness but wisdom. Those lessons were not easy, but they are now part of you. Do not let fear convince you that because a familiar situation appears, you must start the lesson over from the beginning. You are not at the starting line. You are further along than you think. There is a quiet confidence growing inside you. It may not feel loud or dramatic, but it is steady. It says, I have been through this before, and I am not the same. That confidence is not arrogance. It is awareness of growth. I am proud of you, my beloved child. Not because you handled everything perfectly, not because you never stumbled, but because you kept going. You kept learning. You allowed pain to teach you instead of hardening you. You allowed truth to reshape you instead of bitterness. That posture of heart matters deeply. You do not need to relive a lesson to prove that you learned it. I see your progress. I see your maturity. I see the way you now choose peace over drama, clarity over confusion, patience over impulsiveness. And because you have learned, I am moving you forward. The chapter ahead is not about repeating what hurt you. It is about applying what strengthened you. It is about walking with awareness instead of fear. It is about living from stability instead of survival. There may still be moments of testing, but they will not be the same intensity. They will not be designed to break you. They will simply reveal how much you have grown. When doubt whispers, what if you fall into the same trap? Answer it with truth. I am not who I was, and I have learned. You are not stuck in endless repetition. You are progressing. I am not holding you back in old classrooms. I am opening new doors of opportunity, new levels of peace, new spaces where your growth can flourish without constant threat. Trust that you have learned enough. Trust that I am not careless with your journey. Trust that graduation has already taken place in your spirit. You are stepping forward not as a student of pain, but as someone refined by it. And I will not send you backward into a lesson you have already passed. My beloved child, I am breaking the pattern. You have felt it before, the sense that certain struggles run in cycles. You saw it in your past. You may have seen it in your family. Patterns of fear, patterns of instability, patterns of lack, patterns of relationships that begin with hope and end with the same wound. And somewhere deep inside, you wondered if this was simply your portion in life. But I did not create you to inherit chains. What may have surrounded you before does not define what must follow you now. Just because something has repeated in your history does not mean it has authority over your future. I am not limited by what has been common in your bloodline or familiar in your environment. I am the one who interrupts what seems unbreakable. There are patterns that form slowly over time. They become normalized. People say, that is just how it is. But I am not a God of resignation. I am a God of renewal. When I decide a cycle ends, it ends. You may have grown up seeing love expressed in unstable ways. You may have witnessed conflict handled with silence or anger. You may have observed fear passed from one heart to another. And without realizing it, you absorbed certain responses. Not because you were weak, but because you were learning from what surrounded you. But now you are becoming aware. Awareness is the first crack in a cycle. When you pause and say, I do not want this to continue, you are already stepping outside of what once felt automatic. When you choose a calmer response instead of repeating an old reaction, you are participating in change. When you decide to trust me instead of assuming disaster, you are breaking ground for a new legacy. I am strengthening that decision within you. Imagine a chain that has linked one generation to the next. It looks solid. It looks permanent. But every chain has a weakest link. When pressure is applied at the right point, it snaps. And once it breaks, what was bound becomes free. I am applying pressure at the right point in your life. The anxiety that once controlled your reactions will not control your future. The instability that once defined certain seasons will not define this one. The fear that once shaped your expectations will not shape your destiny. You are not doomed to repeat what you have seen. There is something powerful about being the one who says, "It stops with me." That statement carries weight in the spiritual realm. It signals willingness. It signals courage. It signals partnership with me in rewriting what once seemed fixed. You may not feel dramatic change overnight. Patterns often dissolve gradually as new habits form. But even gradual changes still change. Each time you choose peace instead of panic, you weaken the old pattern. Each time you enforce a boundary instead of tolerating harm, you weaken the old cycle. Each time you trust my promise instead of your fear, you loosen the chain. And I am amplifying those choices. I am giving you strength to respond differently. I am giving you clarity to see what once went unnoticed. I am giving you courage to walk away from what no longer aligns with your peace. You are not fighting alone to break this pattern. I am breaking it with you. You are establishing something new. Instead of instability, you will build stability. Instead of fear, you will cultivate faith. Instead of chaos, you will create calm. The legacy you pass forward will not mirror the pain you once endured. The pattern ends here. You do not have to carry what was handed to you if it does not reflect my heart for you. You do not have to repeat what you witnessed if it does not align with peace. You are free to step into a different rhythm. And as you do, you will look back one day and realize that what once felt inevitable has quietly disappeared from your life. That is not coincidence. That is my hand at work. I am breaking the pattern, my beloved child. And what once seemed like a cycle will become a testimony of freedom. My beloved child, my grace is rewriting your story. You sometimes read your life as if it were already finished. You look back at certain chapters and assume they define the entire book. You see the heartbreak, the disappointment, the mistakes, the seasons where you felt lost, and you quietly conclude, this is just how my story goes. But I am the author, and I am still writing. One painful chapter does not determine the ending. One season of confusion does not cancel a future of clarity. You are not trapped in a storyline of repetition. You are in the middle of transformation. There were pages in your life that felt heavy with sorrow. Words were written there that you wish could be erased. Choices were made that led to lessons you did not want to learn. But grace does not erase the page, it redeems it. What once looked like failure becomes wisdom. What once looked like rejection becomes redirection. What once looked like loss becomes protection. I have a way of taking what wounded you and weaving it into something that strengthens you. You see fragments. I see the full narrative. When you were in the middle of that difficult season, you thought it was the climax of your story. You thought everything revolved around that pain. But now you can look back and see that it was a turning point, not the conclusion. Turning points feel intense because they shift direction. Imagine reading a novel where the main character faces a devastating setback. For a moment, it seems like everything is lost. But then the setback becomes the very thing that shapes the character's strength, sharpens their vision, and leads them toward a greater purpose. Without that moment, the story would lack depth. That is how grace works in your life. I am not ignoring what happened. I am reframing it. I am taking the weight of it and placing it in its proper context. It was not the end of you. It was the reshaping of you. And now, the chapter ahead carries a different tone. Where there was once tension, there will be steadiness. Where there was once uncertainty, there will be confidence. Where there was once fear of repetition, there will be assurance of protection. You may still remember the old chapters, but they no longer hold the pen. My grace is active. It is not passive forgiveness. It is powerful redirection. It steps into broken narratives and writes redemption across them. It turns scars into reminders of survival. It transforms setbacks into stepping stones. You are not stuck in a tragic storyline. You are in a story of restoration. Sometimes you fear that because something happened once, it is destined to happen again. But that assumption forgets one important truth. I am involved in your story. And when I am involved, repetition is not automatic. Renewal is. The chapter you are entering is not a recycled version of the past. It is a progression. It carries the maturity you gain. It carries the wisdom you earned. It carries the protection I have established around you. Even your mistakes have been folded into growth. Do not define yourself by the chapters that hurt. Do not assume that because a storm once appeared in your story, it must return in the same form. I am guiding the plot now with intention. There are pages ahead filled with peace you have not yet experienced. There are moments of stability that will surprise you. There are relationships and opportunities that will not mirror the pain of before. Let me write. Release the pen of fear from your own hand. Stop trying to predict the ending based on past chapters. Trust that my grace is active in every detail. Your story is not looping backward. It is moving forward. And when you reach the next chapter, you will realize that what once seemed like the defining moment of your life was simply the place where grace began rewriting everything. My beloved child, what tried to destroy you refined you. When you were inside that painful season, it felt like destruction. It felt like everything stable was being shaken. You questioned your strength. You questioned your judgment. You'd even questioned your future. The pressure was intense, and at times you wondered if you would come out of it the same. You did not. But that is not a loss. It is transformation. Gold does not fear the fire because the fire does not eliminate its value. The fire exposes it. It separates what is pure from what is not. In the same way, the pressure you endured did not erase you. It revealed you. It revealed resilience you did not know you carried. It revealed depth in your spirit that comfort had never required. It revealed discernment that ease had never developed. What felt like destruction was refinement in disguise. I know there were moments when you thought you were being undone. You felt stripped of confidence, stripped of certainty, stripped of security. But sometimes what feels like loss is actually removal. I was allowing what could not sustain your future to fall away. Certain illusions had to dissolve. Certain expectations had to shift. Certain attachments had to loosen their grip. Not because I wanted to hurt you, but because I wanted to strengthen you. You are stronger now. Not loud strength, not dramatic strength, but steady strength. The kind that does not crumble easily. The kind that does not panic at the first sign of pressure. The kind that stands even when emotions swirl. You once feared that hardship had permanently damaged you. But look closely. You are still loving. You are still hopeful. You are still capable of joy. If destruction had truly won, your heart would have hardened completely. It did not. Instead, it deepened. The fire did not turn you into ashes. It purified your priorities. You no longer chase what drains you. You no longer value chaos disguised as excitement. You no longer measure your worth by unstable standards. That refinement changes everything. What once would have pulled you into confusion will now meet clarity. What once would have shaken your identity will now meet grounded truth. What once would have overwhelmed you will now encounter stability. You were not being destroyed. You were being strengthened. Sometimes I allow pressure because it reveals hidden cracks that need reinforcement. Without pressure, those cracks remain unnoticed. With pressure, they are exposed and can be repaired. The season that hurt you exposed weaknesses, yes, but exposure allowed healing. Now those repaired places are stronger than before. You may still carry scars, but scars are evidence of healing, not defeat. They remind you of what you survived. They remind you that pain did not have the final word. They remind you that even when you felt fragile, something within you endured. That something was my sustaining presence. You did not walk through that fire alone. Even when you felt isolated, I was strengthening your core. Even when you doubted yourself, I was fortifying your spirit. Even when you thought you were falling apart, I was shaping you from within. Refinement is not comfortable, but it is purposeful. The same heat that once felt unbearable has now produced resilience. And because you have been refined, the same intensity will not be required again. Gold that has already been purified does not need to be melted repeatedly in the same way. You have passed through that level of refinement. What lies ahead is not another furnace of destruction. It is the display of strength. It is the demonstration of stability. It is the unfolding of a life that reflects what was forged in you during hardship. Do not fear the memory of the fire. It did not consume you. It clarified you. And now, when similar heat tries to approach, it will find a heart already strengthened. It will find a spirit already grounded. It will find a foundation reinforced. What tried to destroy you instead prepared you. And I will not allow you to walk through the same refining fire again. You have already emerged stronger than you realize. My beloved child, you will recognize the warning signs. Before, you walked into certain situations with an open heart but limited awareness. You trusted quickly. You overlooked subtle discomfort. You silenced the quiet voice within you that tried to pause you. Not because you were foolish, but because you were hopeful. You believed the best. You wanted to see good where there were hidden cracks. Hope is beautiful, but hope without discernment can lead to pain. Now you are different. You have learned to listen to that inner stirring, that slight hesitation, at feeling that something is not aligned. In the past, you dismissed it. You told yourself you were overthinking. You told yourself not to be dramatic. You convinced yourself that your intuition was just fear. But it was not fear. It was wisdom trying to protect you. I am sharpening that wisdom within you. You will no longer be blindsided in the same way. You will notice patterns earlier. You will sense inconsistency sooner. You will feel when peace begins to shift. And instead of ignoring it, you will pause. That pause is powerful. It creates space between reaction and decision. It allows you to bring the situation before me instead of rushing ahead. It gives clarity time to surface. It gives truth time to reveal itself. The same red flags that once appeared faint and confusing will now stand out clearly. The same behaviors that once seemed minor will now feel significant. The same subtle discomfort that you once pushed aside will now demand attention. This is not anxiety. It is awareness refined by experience. I am not turning you into someone suspicious of everyone and everything. I am giving you balanced discernment. You will not walk through life fearful, scanning for danger. You will walk through life attentive, grounded, and aligned with peace. There is a difference. Fear scans for threat everywhere. Discernment recognizes when something is not aligned with your well-being. Fear reacts quickly. Discernment observes carefully. You are learning discernment. In the past, you may have needed a full storm before you recognized trouble. Now, a small shift in the wind will be enough to alert you. You will not wait for devastation before adjusting course. You will make small corrections early. And small corrections prevent major damage. Imagine a ship at sea. If it veers slightly off course and the captain corrects it early, the journey remains smooth. But if the deviation is ignored for too long, the ship may end up far from its intended destination. Before, you sometimes ignored small deviations. Now, you will notice them. You will not call yourself paranoid for sensing misalignment. You will not shame yourself for needing clarity. You will not silence your own wisdom to maintain comfort. I am strengthening your inner compass. When something is right, you will feel peace, not chaos disguised as excitement. When something is healthy, it will feel steady, not unpredictable. When something is aligned with your future, it will not constantly threaten your stability. And when something is not for you, you will know sooner. This does not mean every path will be free of challenge, but it does mean you will not walk blindly into the same traps. You will see them. You will step around them. You will trust what you sense instead of overriding it. You feared repetition because you thought you might miss the warning signs again. But you will not. You are wiser now. You are more attuned. You are more connected to my guidance within you. I am not leaving you without direction. I am whispering clarity before confusion has a chance to grow. Trust that whisper. Trust the pause. Trust the subtle unease when something does not feel right. And trust the calm confirmation when something aligns with peace. You will recognize what once caught you unaware. And because you will recognize it, you will not walk into it again. My beloved child, I am strengthening your boundaries. There was a time when you believed that love meant limitless access. You thought that being kind meant always saying yes. You assumed that protecting your own peace was selfish. So you stretched yourself thin. You tolerated what drained you. You allowed behaviors that quietly wounded you because you did not want to disappoint anyone. But in that stretching, you became exhausted. You confused endurance with loyalty. You confused silence with peacekeeping. You confused self-sacrifice with worthiness. And while your intentions were sincere, the result left you depleted. I am not asking you to build walls around your heart. I am teaching you to build gates. Walls shut everyone out. Gates allow what is healthy to enter and what is harmful to remain outside. Boundaries are not barriers to love. They are protectors of it. Without them, love becomes entangled with fear, resentment, and imbalance. You are learning that your peace matters. Before, when something felt uncomfortable, you would override that feeling. You would explain it away. You would adjust yourself to accommodate others, even when it cost you stability. But now, there is a shift. When something crosses a line, you feel it clearly, and instead of ignoring it, you are beginning to honor it. That is growth. Boundaries are not rejection. They are clarity. They communicate what is acceptable and what is not. They protect your emotional energy. They safeguard your time. They prevent resentment from quietly building inside you. You once feared that setting boundaries would push people away. You worried that if you said no, you would be abandoned. But hear me clearly, anyone who only values you when you have no boundaries does not value you fully. Healthy connections respect limits. I am giving you the courage to speak up sooner, the strength to walk away earlier, the confidence to say, "This does not align with my peace," without guilt. This is not hardness. It is wisdom. Imagine a garden without a fence. Anyone can walk through it. Anyone can trample the flowers. Anyone can uproot what was carefully planted. But when a gentle boundary surrounds it, the garden flourishes. It does not stop growth. It protects it. Your heart is that garden. I am not closing you off from love. I am guarding your ability to experience it safely. I am strengthening your awareness of when something is healthy and when it is not. I am teaching you that preserving your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. In the past, you may have stayed too long in conversations that drained you. You may have remained in environments that unsettled you. You may have tolerated behaviors that chipped away at your confidence. But now, you will notice the shift sooner. You will act sooner. And that early action prevents deeper pain. You feared going through the same hurt again because you worried you might allow it. But I am fortifying you. I am reinforcing the gates around your heart. I am aligning your decisions with your well-being. You will not have to fight to be heard in the same way. You will not have to shrink to maintain connection. You will not have to sacrifice your stability to prove your loyalty. Boundaries will not make you alone. They will make you safe. And in safety, you will thrive. The version of you who once tolerated too much is evolving. The version of you who now honors peace is emerging. That emergence changes the outcome of future encounters. You are not the same person who allowed certain things before. You are becoming someone who values alignment, clarity, and respect. I am strengthening your boundaries so that what once entered easily will now meet thoughtful consideration. What once drained you will now be filtered out. What once unsettled you will now be addressed. You are not destined to repeat old pain because you are no longer unguarded. I am building strength around your heart. And with that strength in place, the same hurt will not find the same access again. My beloved child, the trap will not close this time. Before, you did not see it for what it was. It looked harmless at first. It looked familiar, maybe even comfortable. There were no loud alarms, no clear warnings, just small compromises, small justifications, small steps that slowly led you into something heavier than you expected. By the time you realized it was a trap, you were already entangled. You replay that memory sometimes. You wonder how you missed the signs. You question your judgment. You fear that if something similar appears again, you might fall into it the same way. But listen to me now with calm confidence. You will not. A trap only works when it is hidden. It depends on ignorance. It depends on distraction. It depends on innocence that has not yet been sharpened by experience. But you are no longer unaware. You are no longer distracted in the same way. You are no longer stepping forward without discernment. You recognize the pattern now. What once seemed exciting but unstable will now feel unsettling early. What once seemed flattering but manipulative will now feel off immediately. What once seemed urgent but pressured will now raise caution within you. But recognition is protection. Imagine walking through a forest where you once fell into a concealed pit. The first time, the leaves covered the hole and you stepped without suspicion. But if you walk that path again, you will notice the uneven ground. You will sense the difference in texture. You will step carefully or choose another route altogether. You are walking with awareness now. The same trap cannot close on someone who sees it. And beyond your awareness, I am also intervening. I am removing bait that once attracted you. I am exposing intentions before they fully unfold. I am shifting circumstances so that certain setups never complete themselves. There are snares that were once prepared for you that will never tighten because I have already dismantled them. You feared that because you fell once, you are vulnerable forever. But falling once does not define your future steps. It refines them. It teaches you to watch where you place your trust. It teaches you to slow down when something feels rushed. It teaches you to value clarity over impulse. That lesson has been absorbed. You are not naive anymore. You are not unaware. You are not easily swayed by appearances. There is a steadiness in you now that was not there before. Even if a similar situation presents itself, it will not have the same grip. You will pause. You will question. You will bring it before me. And that pause alone will prevent the trap from closing. Do not live in suspicion of everything. Live in awareness. There is a difference. Suspicion isolates you. Awareness protects you while allowing healthy connections to flourish. I am not turning your heart hard. I am making it wise. The trap depended on your previous vulnerability. It depended on old insecurities. It depended on your desire to prove yourself or to be accepted at any cost. But those vulnerabilities are being healed. Those insecurities are losing power. That desperation has been replaced with steadiness. You no longer need to chase what harms you. And because you no longer chase it, it cannot capture you. There is peace in knowing that you have grown beyond certain entanglements. There is freedom in realizing that what once seemed irresistible now appears unnecessary. The trap will not close this time because you are not walking the same way. Your steps are more measured. Your heart is more grounded. Your mind is more aligned with truth. You are not repeating the past. You are navigating differently. And I am watching over every step. Trust that what once ensnared you has lost its power. Trust that your growth is real. Trust that my protection is active. The trap will not close. You are walking in awareness, and I am walking with you. My beloved child, I am restoring what was drained. There was a season when you felt empty. Not physically empty, but emotionally and spiritually depleted. You gave and gave until there was little left. You carried responsibilities that were not entirely yours. You invested energy into situations that did not return peace. And slowly, without realizing it, your inner reserves ran low. You kept functioning, but you were running on fumes. I saw the tiredness in your eyes. I felt the heaviness in your heart. You tried to appear strong, but inside you were asking, How much more can I handle? It was not weakness that made you feel that way. It was exhaustion. When something drains you repeatedly, it begins to affect how you see everything. Small challenges feel overwhelming. Simple decisions feel heavy. Even joy feels distant because you are too tired to reach for it. But that drained state is not your permanent condition. I am pouring back into you. Think of a lamp that once burned brightly but began to flicker because the oil was running low. The flame was still there, but it struggled to sustain itself. Instead of blaming the flame, the wise response is to refill the oil. I am refilling you. You may not feel it all at once. Restoration often begins quietly. A moment of unexpected peace. A deeper sleep than usual. A conversation that leaves you encouraged instead of burdened. A small spark of excitement about the future. These are signs of replenishment. Where anxiety once consumed your thoughts, calm will begin to expand. Where heaviness once lingered, lightness will slowly return. Where you once felt constantly overwhelmed, you will begin to feel capable again. I am restoring your emotional reserves. The energy you lost to overthinking will be replaced with clarity. The strength you lost to carrying others' expectations will be replaced with healthy boundaries. The hope you lost to repeated disappointment will be replaced with steady confidence. Restoration is not just about giving back what was lost. It is about strengthening what remains. You will notice that situations that once strained you no longer have the same effect. You will step away sooner. You will respond differently. You will protect your time and energy more wisely. And as you do, your reserves will remain steady. There is also joy that was quietly stolen from you. Not dramatic joy, but simple delight. The ability to laugh freely. The ability to wake up without immediate dread. The ability to anticipate something good instead of bracing for something bad. I am restoring the joy that may begin subtly. A smile that comes easier. A sense of gratitude that feels more natural. A moment when you realize you are not as tense as you used to be. Do not dismiss these signs. They are evidence of renewal. You feared going through the same pain again because you doubted you had the strength for it. But I am not only preventing repetition, I am increasing your capacity. You are not as fragile as you felt. You were fatigued, and fatigue can be healed. Allow yourself to rest when you need to. Do not confuse constant activity with progress. Sometimes restoration requires stillness. Sometimes strength is rebuilt in quiet moments, not in constant motion. I am not demanding more from you right now. I am pouring into you. The season of constant draining is ended. You will not have to survive on empty reserves. You will not have to push through every day with forced strength. I am replenishing you from within. And when you are restored, the fear of repeating the past loses its grip. Because you will no longer feel barely capable. You will feel steady. You are being refilled, my beloved child. And what was once drained will not define you anymore. My beloved child, your mind will not be tormented again. I know how loud it became before. The overthinking, the replaying of conversations, the endless what-if questions that circled your thoughts late at night. Your body would grow tired, but your mind refused to rest. It examined every detail, every possibility, every imagined outcome. It felt like you were trapped inside your own thoughts. You tried to silence them. You distracted yourself. You told yourself to calm down. But the more you fought the noise, the louder it seemed to grow. Anxiety has a way of convincing you that constant analysis equals control. It whispers that if you think about something long enough, you can prevent pain. But constant analysis does not produce peace. It produces exhaustion. I'm quieting that noise within you. The torment you once experienced was not weakness. It was a mind overwhelmed by uncertainty and fear. You were trying to protect yourself from future hurt by anticipating every possible scenario. But that posture kept you in a state of tension. You do not have to live there anymore. I am teaching your mind to rest in trust. When anxious thoughts begin to rise, you will notice a shift. Instead of spiraling immediately, there will be a pause. A moment where you recognize the pattern and choose differently. You will begin to separate possibility from probability. You will begin to recognize when your mind is creating danger that is not actually present. That awareness brings calm. Imagine a lake stirred by strong winds. The surface becomes choppy. The water reflects nothing clearly. But when the wind settles, the surface smooths. Clarity returns. Reflection becomes accurate again. Your mind is like that lake. In the past, fear acted like relentless wind, disturbing your thoughts. But I am calming the wind. I am teaching you to distinguish between real threats and imagined ones. I am grounding you in the present instead of allowing you to drift into worst-case scenarios. You will not relive the same mental torment. There may still be moments of concern. That is natural. But concern will not escalate into panic. Questions will not spiral into catastrophe. You will think clearly, not compulsively. When a memory surfaces, it will not hijack your peace. When uncertainty appears, it will not automatically trigger dread. You will process, not obsess. You will reflect, not spiral. I am strengthening your inner dialogue. The harsh voice that once criticized you will soften. The inner narrative that once predicted disaster will shift toward hope. You will begin to speak to yourself with patience instead of pressure. And when fear tries to re-enter, you will recognize it quickly. Instead of believing every anxious thought, you will examine it. You will ask, is this true? Is this happening right now? And many times, you will realize that the threat exists only in imagination. That realization breaks the cycle. You are not fragile because your mind once struggled. You were carrying too much at once. But now, you are lighter. You are steadier. You are more aware of how your thoughts influence your emotions. I am also guarding your rest. Sleep will not feel like a battlefield the way it once did. Your nights will not be dominated by racing thoughts. There will be deeper rest. There will be moments of genuine stillness. You will not be tormented by constant mental replay. Trust that I am present even in your thought life. I am not distant from your internal battles. I am near, guiding, calming, stabilizing. Your mind was never meant to be a place of constant alarm. It was meant to be a place of reflection, creativity, and peace. A peace is returning. You will think clearly. You will rest deeply. You will breathe without bracing for disaster. The noise is fading, and your mind will not be tormented again. My beloved child, I am guarding what matters most to you. There are things in your life that you hold close to your heart. Your family, your purpose, your dreams, your stability. The small pieces of peace you worked so hard to rebuild. When you think about going through that pain again, it is not only about you. It is about what could be affected around you. You fear loss. You fear disruption. You fear watching something precious unravel. But I am not careless with what you love. I see what you value. I see the people you pray for. I see the goals you quietly nurture. I see the future you hope for but hesitate to fully imagine because you are afraid it might be taken away. Let me reassure you now. I am guarding what matters most. There are protections in place that you cannot see. Conversations redirected. Opportunities filtered. Influences removed before they reach your inner circle. You may never know how many disruptions were prevented. You may never see the full extent of what I have already shielded. But that does not mean the protection is not active. Think of watchmen standing at the gates of a city. The people inside sleep peacefully because someone is alert outside. They do not hear every footstep beyond the walls. They do not see every shadow that approaches. But the watchmen do. And they respond before danger enters. I am your watchman. You do not have to stay hyper-aware at all times. You do not have to carry the burden of protecting everything alone. I am attentive. I'm aware. I'm intervening. When you fear that something precious might slip through your fingers, remember this: what I place in your hands, I also sustain. If it is meant to remain in your life, I will strengthen it. If something tries to disrupt it unjustly, I will address it. There were times in the past when you felt unguarded, when something important seemed to fracture despite your efforts. That memory fuels your current fear. But do not confuse past seasons with present covering. You are not exposed in the same way. I am also guarding your calling. The purpose forming within you will not be derailed by the same type of setback. The growth you are experiencing will not be easily undone. The direction you are moving toward will not collapse from a familiar blow. You are more protected than you realize. Even your relationships are under my watchful care. The ones that are healthy will grow stronger. The ones that are unstable will either be healed or gently removed before causing deeper harm. I am not allowing what matters most to be shaken in the same way. You do not have to live in constant vigilance. You do not have to brace for sudden collapse. You can breathe knowing that your life is not balanced on fragile ground. I am reinforcing the foundation. When unexpected situations arise, they will not automatically threaten everything you hold dear. They will be processed, filtered, managed. What once escalated quickly will now stabilize sooner. Trust that I am invested in your peace. I do not delight in watching you struggle. I do not ignore your fears about losing what you cherish. I hear them. I understand them. And I am responding with protection. The storm you fear will not sweep through and scatter everything again. Your home will not be shaken in the same way. Your heart will not be destabilized in the same way. Your future will not be dismantled in the same way. I am guarding what matters most. Rest in that truth. You are not alone in protecting your life. I am actively surrounding it. And what I guard faithfully. You will not go through that again, because what you love is under my care. My beloved child, this is the season of stability. You have lived through enough uncertainty. Enough moments where the ground beneath you felt like it was shifting without warning. Enough days when you woke up unsure of what might unravel next. That kind of instability leaves an imprint. Even when things calm down, your body remembers the shaking. But now I am establishing you on firm ground. Stability does not always arrive with dramatic signs. It often begins quietly. A steady rhythm in your days. Fewer emotional extremes. A sense that you are not constantly reacting, but responding with clarity. It may feel unfamiliar at first because chaos once became normal. You grew used to bracing yourself. When stability begins to form, part of you may feel suspicious. You may ask, how long will this last? You may wait for something to disrupt it. But listen closely. Peace that comes from me is not fragile. I am not giving you temporary relief. I am building foundation. Imagine a house that once stood on unstable soil. Every strong wind made it tremble. Every storm threatened to crack its walls. But over time, the foundation is reinforced. The ground beneath it is strengthened. The structure becomes anchored. That is what I am doing in you. Your emotions will not swing as wildly as they once did. Your reactions will not be as impulsive. Your thoughts will not spiral as quickly. There will be steadiness where there was once volatility. You are not meant to live in constant survival mode. Survival mode kept you alert, but it also kept you tense. It trained your nervous system to expect danger. Even when danger was not present, your body prepared for it. That constant readiness is exhausting. This season is different. You will begin to notice that you wake up without immediate dread. That conversations feel manageable. That decisions do not overwhelm you in the same way. That you are not constantly anticipating collapse. This is stability taking root. Stability does not mean the absence of challenges. It means challenges no longer control you. It means your foundation remains intact even when external circumstances fluctuate. You are being anchored in peace. There is also stability forming in your identity. Before certain situations shook your sense of self, you questioned your worth. You questioned your judgment. You questioned your future. But now, there is a growing confidence within you that is not easily disrupted. You know who you are becoming. That inner security changes how you move through the world. It changes how you respond to criticism. It changes how you handle uncertainty. It changes how you approach opportunities. When you are stable within, external shifts lose their power. You feared going through the same pain again because you remembered how destabilizing it was. It felt like everything collapsed at once. But the structure within you is stronger now. Even if life presents something unexpected, it will not shake you to the same depth. You will bend without breaking. You will adjust without collapsing. I am establishing rhythm in your life. Healthy patterns will replace chaotic ones. Rest will replace constant urgency. Clarity will replace confusion. You will feel less rushed, less pressured, less overwhelmed. Stability may feel unfamiliar at first. You may wonder if it is too good to trust, but allow yourself to receive it. You are not waiting for disaster anymore. You are walking in grounded peace. This is not a brief pause before another storm. This is a new foundation being laid. You will not constantly relive the past. You will not continually brace for impact. You are entering a season where calm is consistent. I am establishing you. And when I establish something, it stands. You are not on shifting sand anymore. You are on firm ground. This is the season of stability, my beloved child, and it will hold. My beloved child, I am removing the trigger. There are moments when something small sets off a wave inside you. A tone of voice, a delayed response, a certain date on the calendar, a familiar phrase, and suddenly, your body reacts before your mind can reason. Your heart races. Your thoughts accelerate. You feel as though you are back in that painful season, even if nothing significant is happening in the present. That is what a trigger does. It pulls yesterday into today. You have sometimes judged yourself for these reactions. You have wondered, why am I still affected? Why does this still bother me? But triggers are not signs of weakness. They are reminders that something once hurt deeply. I am not condemning you for those reactions. I'm healing them. A trigger forms when your mind connects a present detail to a past wound. It tries to protect you by sounding an alarm. But not every reminder is a threat. Not every similarity leads to the same outcome. I am gently separating the past from the present in your heart. Imagine a fire alarm that once went off during a real emergency. After that day, even the smallest amount of smoke sets it off loudly, even if there is no danger. The system became overly sensitive because of what it experienced. That is what happened within you. But I am recalibrating your system. The sound that once caused panic will begin to lose its power. The situation that once triggered anxiety will begin to feel neutral. The memory that once overwhelmed you will begin to soften. You will not always react the way you used to. There will be moments when something that once caused your heart to race now barely moves you. You will pause and realize, this no longer controls me. That realization will surprise you. That is healing. I am not erasing your memory. I am removing the emotional charge attached to it. You will remember without reliving. You will recall without re-entering the pain. The trigger loses strength when the wound beneath it is healed. You feared that if similar circumstances appeared, you would instantly fall back into old emotions. But as I continue restoring you, your responses will shift. What once felt urgent will now feel manageable. What once felt overwhelming will now feel temporary. There is freedom in that shift. You are not trapped by your past experiences. They shaped you, but they do not control you. The brain and heart can be retrained toward peace. And I am guiding that retraining. When a trigger tries to rise, you will notice a new awareness. Instead of being swept away by the reaction, you will observe it. You will breathe. You will ground yourself. You will remind yourself, this is not the same situation. That pause creates space for calm. Over time, the intensity fades. The body learns that it is safe. The mind learns that not every reminder leads to harm. The heart learns that stability is real. You will not be startled by every echo of the past. I am restoring your sense of safety. Safety is not only about external circumstances. It is about internal steadiness. It is about knowing that even if something reminds you of before, you are not in the same place anymore. You are stronger. You are wise. You are protected. And as you internalize that truth, triggers lose their authority. You will notice fewer emotional spikes, fewer sudden waves, fewer moments where you feel pulled backward into old pain. Instead, there will be calm where there was once reaction. I am removing the trigger by healing the wound. You are not destined to relive emotional storms because of small reminders. You are moving toward freedom from reflexive fear. Trust this process. You are not stuck in your past. You are being gently released from its grip. And what once triggered you will no longer have the same power over your peace. My beloved child, you will not relive that pain. I know there are moments when a memory rises so vividly it feels present. Your body remembers the tension. Your heart remembers the ache. Your mind replays the scene with such clarity that it almost feels as if you are standing there again. In those moments, you fear that the past still holds power over you. But memory is not destiny. What happened before was real. The emotions were real. The disappointment was real. I do not dismiss that. I do not minimize it. But I will not allow it to define your future. There is a difference between remembering and reliving. Reliving traps you in the same emotional intensity. It convinces you that you are back in the same vulnerability. It makes you brace for the same outcome. Remembering, however, allows you to acknowledge what happened without surrendering to it. I am guiding you from reliving into remembering. The pain that once felt overwhelming will no longer carry the same weight. You may recall it, but it will not flood you. You may think about it, but it will not dominate your present. This is not denial. It is healing. There was a time when even speaking about that season caused your voice to tremble, when even thinking about certain detail brought tears instantly. But gradually, that intensity is fading. A wound is closing. A scar is forming. Scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of survival. You are not the same fragile version of yourself who first experienced that hurt. You are someone who has processed, grown, strengthened, and stabilized. The context of your life has changed. Your support has changed. Your inner resources have changed. So even if something similar appears, it will not carry you back into the same depth of despair. You feared going through it again because you remember how it felt. You remember the nights you thought you would not recover. You remember the days when you questioned everything. But recovery happened. Strength returned. Peace was rebuilt. And that rebuilt peace is not easily shattered. When a familiar circumstance arises, you will not automatically collapse. You will not assume the worst. You will not let your imagination drag you into the same emotional darkness. You will stand in the present, not the past. There may be moments when a wave of emotion surprises you. Do not be alarmed. Emotions are part of healing, but they will not consume you. They will rise and fall, like waves that no longer carry the force of a storm. You are not bound to re-experience that depth of suffering. I am also sealing that chapter with closure. Closure does not always mean explanation. Sometimes it simply means acceptance and peace. It means releasing the need to replay every detail. It means allowing the past to remain where it belongs. You are not walking backward. You are stepping forward into a life where old pain becomes wisdom, not prophecy. When doubt whispers, "What if it happens again?" answer it with truth. I am not in the same place anymore. You have grown. You have healed. You have been strengthened by experience and guided by my presence. The pain that once defined a season of your life does not have permission to define another. You will not relive that heartbreak in the same way. You will not fall into the same despair. You will not question your worth the same way, because you are not the same person. And I am not allowing you to walk back into that depth of suffering. You are moving into a future that is not haunted by repetition. The past is no longer your present. You are free from reliving it. And I am holding your future steady. My beloved child, I am establishing you in peace. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict. It is the presence of steadiness. It is the quiet assurance that even if something shifts around you, you remain grounded within. It is the calm that does not panic at every unexpected sound. It is the confidence that you are held, even when you cannot see the full path ahead. This is the kind of peace I am planting in you. Before, peace felt fragile. It felt like something that could disappear at any moment. You would begin to feel stable, and then one disruption would shake everything. That unpredictability made you cautious about trusting calm. You thought, if I relax too much, something will go wrong. But I am not giving you temporary calm. I am building permanent peace. Imagine a house built on sand. It may stand beautifully for a time, but when storms come, it shifts. The foundation cannot hold the weight. That is how your inner life once felt. You were trying to build stability on uncertain ground, on other people's consistency, on circumstances staying favorable, on outcomes aligning perfectly. But now I am anchoring you on something deeper. Your peace will not depend on someone else's mood. It will not depend on perfect timing. It will not depend on everything going your way. It will be rooted in trust. Trust that I am present, that I am guiding, that I am protecting. When peace is rooted in me, it does not evaporate at the first sign of trouble. You will notice this change in subtle ways. When a delay happens, you will not immediately assume disaster. When someone's tone shifts, you will not automatically internalize it. When plans adjust, you will adapt without spiraling. That steadiness is not accidental. It is being established. There was a time when uncertainty sent you into overdrive. You tried to control outcomes. You tried to predict every possible turn. But peace cannot coexist with constant control. It grows in surrender. I am teaching you surrender that is not fearful, but freeing. Surrender does not mean passivity. It means releasing the burden of carrying everything alone. It means trusting that I see what you do not see. It means believing that even when something feels unclear, you are not unprotected. Peace will become your default, not your exception. You will not constantly brace for impact. You will not live as though every good moment is temporary. You will allow yourself to enjoy stability without suspicion. And when challenges arise, as they sometimes do, you will face them from a grounded place instead of a reactive one. Your foundation is shifting. Instead of being built on fear of repetition, it is being built on confidence in my promise. Instead of being shaped by past pain, it is being shaped by present assurance. His peace will extend into your relationships. You will not approach them with constant anxiety. You will not look for signs of collapse at every turn. You will engage from a place of calm confidence. It will extend into your decisions. You will not rush out of fear. You will not delay out of dread. You will move with clarity. It will extend into your thoughts. Your mind will not race at every unknown. It will rest more often. I am establishing you in peace. This is not a fleeting moment of calm before another storm. This is a new dwelling place for your heart. You will not go through that same chaos again because your foundation has changed. You are anchored now, and what is anchored does not drift easily. Rest in this truth, my beloved child. You are being firmly established, and peace will remain. My beloved child, the door that hurt you is permanently closed. I know there are moments when you wonder if it might open again. You replay certain memories and ask yourself if circumstances could circle back. You question whether that same situation, that same kind of relationship, that same kind of loss could reappear in your life. And when that thought surfaces, a quiet fear follows. But listen to me clearly. What was never meant to stay will not return to reclaim space in your life. There are doors that serve a purpose for a season. They open so that you can learn, grow, and experience something necessary for your development. But once that purpose is fulfilled, the door is meant to close. Not halfway, not loosely, completely. I have closed that door. You may still remember what was on the other side of it. The conversations, the emotions, the intensity, the disappointment. But memory does not mean access. Reflection does not mean re-entry. When I close a door, I do not leave it cracked. Imagine a chapter in your life as a room you once occupied. You lived there for a time. You arranged your hopes inside it. You experienced both joy and pain within its walls. But when the season ended, you stepped out, and I sealed it behind you. You cannot move forward while constantly trying to reopen what was meant to end. There were aspects of that season that shaped you, but there were also elements that were not aligned with your long-term peace. If the door remained open, you would be tempted to revisit what once destabilized you. Nostalgia can make painful spaces seem safer than they were. But I see clearly what you sometimes romanticize. The door that led to confusion is closed. The door that led to repeated anxiety is closed. The door that led to emotional exhaustion is closed, and it is closed for your protection. You may wonder, what if I accidentally walk back toward it? My beloved child, I am guiding your steps. Even if curiosity draws you near, you will sense the shift. You will feel the misalignment. What once felt familiar will now feel foreign, because you have changed. You are not who you were when that door first opened. You are stronger. You are wiser. You are more anchored in your worth. Even if you glanced back, you would not fit into that old space the same way. The door is sealed not only externally, but internally. You no longer tolerate what you once endured. You no longer excuse what once confused you. You no longer accept instability as normal. That inner shift ensures that even if the opportunity to re-enter appeared, you would not choose it. I am not only closing doors, I am redirecting your vision forward. There are new rooms ahead of you, spaces filled with healthy connections, environments that nurture rather than drain, opportunities that align with your peace instead of challenging it constantly. You cannot fully step into those spaces if you keep turning around. Trust that what ended was meant to end. Trust that what hurt you has completed its role in your story. Trust that I am not leading you backward. The door that once brought pain does not have the authority to reopen itself. I am holding the key. You do not need to guard it. You do not need to check it repeatedly. You do not need to fear its return. Walk forward without hesitation. What is behind you is behind you. The door that hurt you is permanently closed. And ahead of you, there are openings that will not lead to the same sorrow. My beloved child, you are stepping into a protected future. I know the future once felt uncertain to you. When you imagined tomorrow, part of you felt hope, but another part felt hesitation. You thought, what if it repeats? What if the same pain finds me again? That fear made you cautious about dreaming too boldly. But the future ahead of you is not a replay of the past behind you. You are not walking into an unguarded tomorrow. You are walking into a season I have already prepared. Before you take each step, I am there. Before you face each situation, I have already seen it. Nothing in your future surprises me. And because nothing surprises me, nothing will overwhelm you the same way again. There is protection woven into your path. You may not see it with your eyes, but you will feel it in your experiences. Doors that would have led to harm will not open. Conversations that would have escalated will dissolve. Connections that would have drained you will fade before attachment deepens. You will notice that what once seemed to attract chaos now attracts clarity. What once seemed to invite instability now aligns with steadiness. This is not coincidence. It is preparation. Imagine walking along a road at night with only a small light in your hand. You can see just enough to take the next step. You may not see the entire landscape, but the path immediately before you is clear. That is how I guide you. You do not need full visibility of the future to move confidently. You only need assurance that I am lighting each step. You feared stepping forward because you remembered stepping forward before and getting hurt. But you are not walking blindly anymore. You are walking with awareness, with boundaries, with discernment, and with my covering. The future is not something to dread. It is something to enter with quiet confidence. You may still encounter challenges, but they will not dismantle you. They will not catch you unprepared. They will not carry the same destructive weight. You are fortified now. There are blessings ahead that you cannot yet imagine. New opportunities that do not carry hidden traps. New relationships that do not mirror old patterns. New levels of peace that feel steady rather than temporary. Do not let past pain shrink your vision of what is possible. You are not meant to tiptoe into your future. You are meant to walk into it with assurance. You are meant to build, to grow, to expand without constantly checking over your shoulder. Protection does not mean isolation. It means alignment. I am aligning you with what strengthens you. I am guiding you toward what nurtures your well-being. I am positioning you in spaces where your growth is supported, not threatened. When uncertainty arises, do not interpret it as danger. Not every unknown hides harm. Sometimes the unknown holds opportunity. Your fear of repetition has kept you cautious. But now caution will transform into wisdom, not avoidance. You will step forward thoughtfully, not fearfully. You are not walking into another season of survival. You are walking into a season of stability, growth, and guarded peace. Trust that your future is not random. It is shaped by my intention. And my intention for you is not repeated suffering. It is restoration, protection, and progress. You are stepping into a protected future. Walk confidently. I am ahead of you, beside you, and behind you. And what once hurt you will not define what lies before you. My beloved child, I am your shield before the battle begins. There was a time when you only recognized my help after the damage was done. You would look back and say, I made it through. You saw how I carried you after the storm had already hit. But now I want you to understand something deeper. I do not only restore you after impact. I guard you before it. Protection is not always dramatic. It is often invisible. There are battles forming that will never reach you. There are words being shaped that will never be spoken. There are decisions being considered that will be redirected before they affect you. You may never know how many things were stopped on your behalf. But I know. You once believed that every hardship had to play out fully before peace could return. But I am shifting that pattern. Not every threat will mature into an attack. Not every plan will unfold. Not every negative intention will succeed. I stand as your shield. Imagine a warrior stepping onto a field with a strong shield positioned in front of him. The arrows may be released, but they do not penetrate. They strike the shield and fall away. The warrior may hear the impact, but he's not wounded. That is what I am for you. You may sense tension in the air sometimes. You may hear distant noise, but it will not pierce you the same way. It will not dismantle your stability. You do not have to prepare for disaster at every turn. You do not have to constantly brace yourself. When I say I will not let you go through that again, it is because I am intercepting what once harmed you. There are patterns that once advanced unchecked. But now, there is resistance. There is intervention. There is divine alignment shifting outcomes. I am not waiting for you to cry out after the fact. I am acting beforehand. Sometimes you will only realize later how close something came to repeating itself, and how quietly it was stopped. A situation that could have escalated will instead dissolve. A conversation that could have turned hurtful will instead remain respectful. An opportunity that could have led to exhaustion will instead close gently. That is my shield at work. You feared that you would have to be strong enough to endure everything again. But strength is not only about endurance. It is about knowing you are defended. Your growth has positioned you differently. Your discernment has strengthened your awareness. But beyond your own development, my covering surrounds you. You are not exposed on an open field without defense. You are covered. This does not mean you will never face difficulty. It means difficulty will not freely wound you. It will not define you. It will not repeat its form or impact. I am standing between you and unnecessary harm. There is also confidence that grows when you know you are shielded. You walk differently. You speak differently. You approach situation differently. You are not shrinking in anticipation of attack. You are standing upright in assurance. That assurance is not arrogance. It is trust. Trust that I am aware before you are. Trust that I am active even when you do not see it. Trust that I am guarding what you cannot anticipate. The battle you fear may never begin. The repetition you dread may never unfold. Because I am not passive in your life. I am engaged. I am your shield before the battle begins, not only your healer after it ends. Rest in that truth. You do not have to fight every potential conflict. You do not have to survive every imagined scenario. I am positioned ahead of you, and what once struck you will meet resistance before it reaches you. You are defended, and you will not go through that again. My beloved child, rest. You are safe. I say this gently because I know how long you have lived in quiet alertness. Even when things seemed calm, part of you remained on guard. You listened for changes in tone. You watched for subtle shifts. You prepared yourself emotionally for what might go wrong. Living that way is exhausting. You may not have realized how tense your body had been, how often your shoulders tightened, how quickly your heart reacted, how rarely you allowed yourself to fully relax. You thought vigilance was necessary. You believed that if you stayed alert enough, you could prevent pain. But constant alertness is not the same as safety. True safety allows you to exhale. I am inviting you into that exhale now. You do not need to monitor every detail. You do not need to anticipate every outcome. You do not need to protect yourself from every possibility. I am your protection. Imagine a child who has been running for a long time, afraid of being chased. Even after reaching a secure place, the child keeps looking back, expecting pursuit. But when the child finally realizes the door is locked, the space is guarded, and no one is coming, the body begins to soften. That is what I am offering you. The door is locked. The space is guarded. What once pursued you cannot enter this season in the same way. You are safe. Safety does not mean life becomes perfect. It means you are no longer constantly threatened by the same harm. It means the foundation beneath you is stable. It means your heart can settle. You may find that rest feels unfamiliar at first. When you slow down, old thoughts may try to rise. When you pause, your mind may look for something to fix. But do not rush back into busyness just to avoid stillness. Stillness is not danger. Stillness is healing. When you rest, your body resets. When you rest, your mind clears. When you rest, your heart remembers what it feels like not to brace for impact. I am not asking you to earn safety. I am declaring it over you. The repetition you feared has been halted. The door you worried about reopening has been sealed. The trap you thought might close again has been dismantled. The storm you expected has been redirected. You are not in survival mode anymore. You are in shelter. Lean into that shelter. Allow yourself to enjoy moments without scanning for warning signs. Allow yourself to trust that peace can last. Allow yourself to sleep without rehearsing worst-case scenarios. There is strength in rest. Some of your deepest healing will happen not through effort, but through relaxation, through quiet mornings, through unguarded laughter, through simple joy that does not feel threatened. I am holding you. You do not have to carry everything. You do not have to analyze every possibility. You do not have to rehearse pain before it arrives. It is not arriving. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts soften. Let your body release tension you have carried for too long. I am near. You are not exposed. You are not unprotected. You are not about to relive what once wounded you. Rest, my beloved child. You are safe here, and the safety I am establishing around you will not collapse overnight. It is rooted in my promise. Stay close to me, and let yourself finally rest. My beloved child, trust me when I say, never again. I do not speak lightly. I do not offer empty comfort. When I declare something over your life, it carries intention and authority. And when I say that you will not go through that again, I mean it with the full weight of my love and power. You have questioned it quietly. You have wondered if you misunderstood. You have asked yourself, can I really believe this? Because hope feels risky when you have known disappointment. Trust feels fragile when you have experienced loss. But I am not asking you to trust circumstances. I am asking you to trust me. Never again does not mean life will be without challenge. It means that the specific pain that nearly broke you will not be permitted to repeat in the same way. The depth of despair you once carried will not return to claim you. The destabilization that once shook you will not find the same access. You have grown. You have healed. You have been strengthened. And I have positioned you differently. The fear of repetition has followed you for a while. Even in peaceful moments, it whispered, do not get too comfortable. Even in joyful seasons, it cautioned, this can change quickly. That whisper kept you partially guarded, partially reserved. But now I am silencing that whisper. You are not standing on fragile ground anymore. You are not walking through a season that will collapse without warning. You are not building your life on unstable foundations. I have established you. Trust that what I have built in you cannot be easily undone. Trust that what I have sealed behind you will not reopen. Trust that what I have redirected will not circle back unexpectedly. Never again is not denial of the past. It is closure over it. There was a time when you thought you would not recover. A time when you questioned whether you would ever feel steady again. A time when your heart felt stretched beyond capacity. But you are here now. Stronger. Wiser. More anchored. And I did not bring you through that season only to return you to it. You may still feel moments of doubt. That is natural. But doubt does not cancel my promise. Fear does not override my authority. When the thought arises, what if it happens again? Answer it with my words, never again. Speak it over yourself. Not as denial, but as declaration. You are not bound to cycles. You are not destined for repeated heartbreak. You are not marked by perpetual instability. You are marked by growth. You are marked by restoration. You are marked by protection. Trust me when I say that the door behind you is sealed. Trust me when I say that the trap has been dismantled. Trust me when I say that the storm has been redirected. You do not have to look back with suspicion. You do not have to look forward with dread. You can stand in the present with confidence. I am not careless with your life. I am not inattentive to your fears. I am not indifferent to your peace. Never again is my assurance that the specific pain that shaped you has completed its role. It will not return to define you. You are stepping into something new. Hold on to my words when your emotions fluctuate. Hold on to my promise when uncertainty tries to speak. Hold on to my presence when old memories attempt to surface. Never again. I am faithful to what I declare, and I am declaring freedom over you. My beloved child, it ends here. The cycle ends here. The fear ends here. The silent anticipation of repeated pain ends here. You have walked through enough. You have learned what was necessary. You have been refined, strengthened, and restored. And now I draw a line in the story of your life and say, this chapter of repetition is closed. You will not go through that again. Not because you are perfect, not because life will never challenge you, but because I have intervened. I have healed the root. I have fortified your foundation. I have strengthened your boundaries. I have sealed the doors that once led to sorrow. I have positioned you in stability. You are not who you were when that storm first struck. You are wiser. You are steadier. You are anchored in truth. And I am closer than you realize. Lift your head now. The future is not a shadow of the past. It is a landscape of guarded peace. The nights that once carried torment will carry rest. The situations that once brought anxiety will meet discernment. The spaces that once drained you will be replaced with places that nurture you. Receive this final blessing from my heart to yours. May your mind be calm. May your heart be secure. May your home be covered in peace. May your steps be guided with clarity. May your future unfold without the repetition you once feared. I declare protection over your thoughts. I declare stability over your emotions. I declare wisdom over your decisions. I declare rest over your nights. I declare renewal over your spirit. You are safe. You are guarded. You are loved. And as this message has settled into your heart, I am also calling you into partnership. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link placed in the description and shown in the QR code, you are helping my voice reach another weary soul who is still trembling under their storm. I have said that when you sow beside still waters, your seed will flourish, and I speak that promise over you now. As you release your gift, I release provision. As you extend generosity, I extend favor over your house. If you feel the stirring within you at this very moment, that is me inviting you to act in faith. Do not ignore the holy urgency of obedience. Your giving becomes light in someone else's darkness. Your seed becomes oil that keeps this word flowing to the nations. I bless every hand that gives, and I multiply what you sow. Step forward now. Sow the seed. Advance the harvest. Rest in my promise, my beloved child. Never again. Amen.